All right, Sami Abusaad from T3 Trading. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. I hope you're doing okay with the tariff tantrum. How are you today?
Good morning. Good to be back. I'm doing well. Thank you.
It is great to have you back. So I'm just going to start off here. First of all, if you have charts and you want to share your screen, you're welcome to do so. Otherwise, I can go ahead and drive for you, as they like to say. The first question here is going to be the obvious one. We're going to start with the obvious question. How are you dealing with the tariff tantrum that we're currently facing?
I'm a pure technician, so I just focus on the technical picture, and I stay away from the news. I don't really pay attention to the news, not because I'm not curious about the news. Sometimes I am, but I don't let that come between me and the charts.
Okay, so that sounds like your way of maybe not panicking here is focusing on the charts because you consider yourself a technician. That is, however you do it, that was kind of the overarching theme that I wanted to get across here today. Don't panic for any reason. Looks like you use the charts as your crutch or backbone there. So let's just move right to that. What are some of your best idea? And I want to ask you about stocks and crypto, if that's okay here today. So we're going to start here with stocks. What are some of your best ideas for some of the stock trades or best setups that you might see right now?
Okay, I am trying to share my screen.
You got it. It's on.
Oh, perfect. So yeah, it's hard to find something that looks really good right now that's not going to be affected by the market. And that's why I like the China stocks. I did the BABA and exited at 138 BABA. I exited once we got a double top. So this was a really nice move. So I don't think the BABA is quite ready to get back in, but check out the JD because of the monthly chart. Look at that monthly curling 20 MA. Check out the YMM, another China name that I like. Look at that broad rounding bottom on the monthly chart. Another one would be, so I like the China stocks. We just exited the VNet at $15. It's the same exact pattern. So some of my best plays this year have been the China names. So those I like a lot. There are a lot of other US names that I like, such as the PRCH. Again, notice I have it's the same pattern, that nice curling 20-period moving average, that blue line that you see on the monthly chart. So some of these names I like a lot, but I'm not sure that they're not going to be unaffected by the market because they're US companies. So there's this one. There is like the Disney a lot. I think it's setting up, but it's going to be impacted by the market. But like the Disney also, we did the Twilio. We got in at $60 some, got out at 140, same exact pattern. So, I've been trading for next month will be 18 years since I quit my job from a big four accounting firm. And the biggest thing that I see traders, the biggest reason why traders lose is because they do too many things. And I do a lot of different things too, but if you can just figure out what you like early on and focus most of your time and attention around it, then I think you'll be ahead of the pack, ahead of everybody else. And this is one of those patterns that I absolutely love on the monthly chart. So back to your question, I like the China names a lot. I mentioned a couple in the JD, in the YMM. My platform is over there, so I'm just taking a peek. The BEKE is another one that I'm actually currently in. Let's see, BZ is not bad, but it's probably too early right now. And then there's a few US names that I like, such as the Disney, such as the 3M. I like it actually long term. We played it a couple times last year. And then there's a couple of real estate stocks that I like. MPW is one of them. I think it's probably a little bit early on the MPW. And then the other real estate name was, AHR. I mean, look at the relative strength of the stock.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable relative strength. So it's breaking out. Love it. You can look at it on the daily, the weekly, the monthly. So this is a little bit different than the curling, that transition A breakout that I like. Today, Akata is gapping up, and if it can clear the prior highs, I think that looks pretty good on the monthly chart. So there's a lot of names. Just mentioning a few here, but it's mostly the same pattern, that the monthly chart where it's down a lot and then starts to base a little bit and starts to transition higher. That's my favorite pattern of all time.
Okay, and I actually have a couple of questions about that pattern just to kind of dive into it, which is awesome. Folks, we are here with Sami Abusaad from T3 Live. Get Sami's simple formula for big profits in his free webinar. We got a QR code right on the screen. The link is in the chat or the description. Okay, so Sami, so you're talking about the curling 20 MA, the 20 moving average on the monthly chart. So can you tell me a little bit? I like the setup. I understand the moving average, but can you tell me what actually triggers your entry and exit? That is to say, are you looking for one or two or multiple closes above a specific moving average level? What's the actual trigger for you to press the buy button and the sell button?
Amazing question. So I look at I'm showing you the monthly chart, but I actually look at the daily, the weekly, and the monthly. I look at all three time frames. When the three time frames are in alignment, that's when I enter. But to make it a little bit less complicated, basically I know that stocks correct either through time by going sideways, in which case, you get the breakout play, or through price by pulling back. So that's the only two ways that stocks correct, either through time or through price. Through time meaning we go sideways, in which case you look for a breakout. Through price by pulling back, in which case you look for a drop back to the 20 MA and then a buy setup. So whichever way they set up in, if you look at Disney, that was a buy setup. So it pulled back to the 20, and then once it popped, long. If you look at Twilio, it was a breakout over the base. So it all depends on how the stock actually sets up.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that absolutely does. And I think it's probably easiest to see on that Twilio example, because it does really kind of just hug that moving average. And then all of a sudden it starts to break away from it. You actually get that nice little, one of those candles, you actually had that nice little wick down. Same there on Docu. Perfect. That's exactly what we're looking at here. Okay, awesome. So can you actually pinpoint which one of those candles was your entry trigger?
So on Docu, I don't remember exactly, because we got out of both Docu and Twilio, and both we had two entries. But basically, if I were to go back in time on the Docu, it should have been over here on the daily chart. So it should have been like literally this day, like November 15th on the Docu. On the Twilio, there were a couple of entries also. The Twilio was not very pretty on the daily chart, so it was hard to pull the trigger. But there was a breakout right here, back over here. And then there was another entry once the weekly took out the prior high, over here. So those were exactly my entries. Now, I don't remember the exact date. I'd have to go to my tracking sheet, but those were the entries. And those were, you might think, oh, well, now you're saying you played those. No, those were actually published in a newsletter ahead of time. So that's what I played. That's what I do all the time. VNet, for example, same exact thing. Once it took out the highs and then out at $15, actually at $15.50, but the published target was $15. So the same exact pattern, basically. It repeats over and over again. And basically, the idea is that you have a stock that collapsed, and then once a stock collapses like this, it, by and large, people lose interest in it because they got hurt. And so it starts to go sideways, and you get that tight pattern, and people are not interested in it again because they got hurt. And then eventually the interest comes back. So as soon as it breaks out, that's when I want to get in it. I don't want to get in it when it pops, 100% or 200%, because by that time it'll be already too late.
Okay, so I can't help it. I can't help it. But man, if that's kind of what happens with some of these bigger stocks from this tariff, maybe that's what we should do. We should wait till they fall out of favor and consolidate, and maybe use some of these moving averages that you're talking about. Not trying to put words in your mouth, but trying to take what you're saying here and kind of spin that forward. So, okay, really, really good stuff. I also wanted to ask you, what are your favorite ideas for crypto? Because the crypto market here also extremely volatile and going crazy. So do you have any setups or maybe favorite crypto tickers that you're looking at?
Probably so here's the thing about crypto. I actually thought that Bitcoin and Solana and all of these bottomed yesterday. And so I picked up I meant to buy 350 shares of Solana. I ended up getting filled on 343. I exited already. But I thought they bottomed yesterday and then they got slammed, and no, it looks like the bottom is not in. Bitcoin, if you look at it, let me just see if I can pull up the chart of Bitcoin. Basically, is looking lower to 70,000 or so. So I would wait on Bitcoin until it gets to the prior top of the base. Let me just see if I can share my chart. There we go. Perfect. So let me show you Bitcoin. So this is Bitcoin. And if you look at the weekly and the monthly, here's the weekly chart. It broke out. So this is where, to me, it's headed down to about 70,000 is what I'm looking at. And when it gets there, that's where I would start to look to buy. The best, and then Solana, I don't know for sure Solana. I'm thinking under 100 or about 100 at $100 or so. This prior low should be the bottom. ETH looks lower to $1,500 or so, right about here. I didn't know you were going to ask me about crypto, but I am an avid crypto trader. The strongest thing out there is XRP. So notice it popped like 250% or so. This is the weekly chart. Here's the monthly. It looks even better. And it's consolidating. It's a little too sloppy right now to mess with it, but that's probably my single favorite idea. I do like the Cardano, but it's a bit messy. I mean, it's all over the place. I don't know if folks can handle that kind of volatility. It goes from 60 cents to $1.20 in one day and then falls back down to now 70 cents. So I don't really recommend it. Again, the favorite, if I had to pick one, would be XRP. And these three, the first three, the Bitcoin around 70, Solana around $100 or so, and ETH around 1,500. That's what I'm basically watching.
Okay, awesome, folks. Sami Abusaad. Get Sami's simple formula for big profits in his free webinar March 5th at 4:30 p.m. QR code on the screen there, link in the chat. Okay, so let me ask you, so you talked a little bit about the 20-day moving average and setting up for swing trades. Do you have any other types of trades, or maybe any other indicators or anything else that kind of helps you determine whether or not you have a trade on your hand? Or is it just that 20 moving average?
So I do. It's not that I don't, but the 20 moving average, the 20 period moving average simplifies things. It tells you when you should go long. It tells you when you should go short if it's declining. So I like it a lot, and I almost exclusively focus on it to filter out the good from the bad, to filter out the bad trades, basically. Mm-hmm. So I can talk about other things, but that's really my primary and almost only indicator that I use. It's really the only indicator that I use, except that I also have the 200 period moving average, and I have volume, if you can call those indicators. So the 200, simple, the 20, also simple, and then volume. That's all I really use as far as indicators go. And then the rest of it just depends on price action.
So I can totally appreciate that, because I'm someone that pays a lot of attention to price action and volume and indicator. Yes, as a matter of fact, I think volume is the second most important indicator behind price. Right. So I absolutely think that. Okay. One last thing I did want to get, we'll get you out of here with this. What is something that you're looking for to close a successful swing trade? So let's just assume you've made good entry, you've picked the right asset, the swing trade is working. When do you start to think to yourself, okay, it's time to take gains, and this is why?
So it's very, very simple. If you are in a stock that's just moving up and up and up, the idea is, I don't want to make a recommendation here to never exit, but basically don't exit easily. When the market goes against you, does it let you off the hook easily? It never does. It just keeps going. The same when you're in a swing trade that's actually working in your favor. Don't exit until it starts to go parabolic, or if it's starts to break down and it damages the trend. But if I start to see increasing volume, as you can see on the VNet, also far away from the moving average, and the bars are getting bigger and bigger, that's my indication that it's becoming unsustainable. Okay. You can look at BABA also. BABA, I guess, because these are Chinese stocks, they gap a lot, so they're not as pretty. But basically, again, look at the volume spike. Look at the distance from the 20. So when it gets parabolic, that's when I really start to think about exiting.
Okay, awesome. That is fantastic. Sami Abusaad from T3, get his simple formula for big profits in his free webinar. QR code on the screen. The webinar is tomorrow, March 5th, after the market. So, Sami, thank you so much. First of all, we have our audience here is definitely into crypto, and at least from my read here, we're getting more and more into crypto. So, I would say this. First of all, thank you for coming on today. I look forward to speaking with you again, and you can imagine that the next time we have you back, I will in fact ask you about crypto.
Sounds great. Good to be with you, Brian. Thank you.